maahan halkan meel kala duwan ka socda round table discussion-ka marka insha Allah waxaan rajaynaynaa hadii Ilaahay yiraahdo inay ka soo baxaan gaar ahaan halkan waa ka duwan tahay madalaha kale ee looga doodayo horumarka dalalka bariga Afrika sababtoo ah halkan waxa jooga maskaxdii wax horumarin lahayd mashiinkii soo saaray marka waa inaan serious ka ahaana afkaarta iyo qodobada halkan aan kaga doodayna hadii Ilaahay yiraahdo waxaan rajaynayaa insha Allah discussion qurux badan inuu dhaco waa maasantiin assalaamu calaykum
Thank you very much. Now we are going to have our keynote speech. So we are going to start with the first keynote speech, which is advancing regional academic integration, harmonizing quality assurance and mobility in the East African higher education space. I'm going to invite here Professor Paul Mokinzioki. Professor Paul is the president of the East African Quality Assurance Network. He was one of the pioneers, the first cohort of quality assurance officials that IUCEA has trained in 2007. Since then, he has been involved in the quality assurance arena of the East Africa community. He acts as curriculum reviewer, quality assurance officer for many East African countries. So it's a pleasure to welcome you here, Mr. President. And he is the president of the East African Quality Assurance Network. In fact, he is the only president in this room. You are welcome, President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my friend. I'm honored to be here this evening. And I can see quite a number of faces that I've met, the minister included. Yeah, we were together somewhere in Uganda. Yes, and as I'm seeing a number of faces that we met. So State Minister, Culture and Higher Education, the Somali Commission for Higher Education Chairman, the Chairman of EACON, and all protocols observed. I'm happy to be here today to speak to us on a few matters that are touching higher education and basically harmonization of higher education. And then we will look at, maybe you can move to the agenda. We will look at a brief introduction, and then my main talk will be on the call for action. What do we need to do so that now we can fully harmonize and say that we have actually integrated when it comes to higher education? You'll agree with me that the 4 pillars of the regional integration, the first one is custom union. We discussed that this evening. The issue of common market, the market that we have said we have a very large market, and if we took advantage of this market, we will be a developed region. The issue of monetary union, and then the last one, the political federation. But together with those kind of areas, we have also the Inter-University Council for East Africa that has been given the mandate to spearhead the harmonization of higher education within the region. And I'm sure we have all seen this document somewhere. This document was signed sometimes on 29th of May, 2017, trying to mimic what the European Union did under the Bologna process in 1999, which really harmonized the European region as one common higher education area. So this was signed by the presidents of the member states on May 29. And in the signing, they pledged the following. They said they are going to accomplish the harmonization of higher education and training. We want to facilitate comparability of higher education. Together with that also, we want to be able to have mutual recognition of our qualification within the region. We want to have identify and make sure that a student can move from one state to another state seamlessly and continue with their studies. So this was actually signed, and it is part of the legal frameworks that we are implementing as East Africans. And therefore, we are bound by this particular document. Maybe you can move to the next slide. Now, the higher education, the common higher education area, as I said, some documents that are in paper, but it is upon us as East Africans to implement them. Key among them is the principle and guidelines for quality assurance in higher education in East Africa. I'm sure we have met this document. In the same document that was declared in 2017, IUCA also was given the mandate to make sure that we implement the quality assurance handbooks, the 4 sets of handbooks that are talking on internal quality assurance within our universities. Secondly, talking about institutional quality assurance in the program level, the institution, and also how the external quality assurance is supposed to be done within our universities. There are also benchmarks that have been developed. I'll go through that. And the body that I lead, or I head, was also in the declaration, and that is the East African Higher Education Quality Assurance Network that promises to, and it has been doing it, promote quality culture within our universities. We have also the East African Qualification Framework, the staff mobility, and also the student mobility that are mentioned in that particular document. Maybe you could move now to the first. How many of us have met this document? And if we have not met, kindly visit the Inter-University Council for East Africa. Download this document, more so the universities that are here, because the document guides us on how quality assurance within the region should be done. And therefore, it harmonizes internal quality assurance within our institutions. So the vice chancellors who are here, the universities that are here, kindly make sure that tomorrow this document is on your desk. It is in the University Council for East Africa. It provides a common framework for reference when we are developing a common quality assurance framework within the region. It is applicable, as I've said, to all higher education institutions and also the national councils for higher education within the region. The next slide. Now, when we started quality assurance harmonization within the region, that was done in the beginning, the beginning of the journey was in 2007. In 2007, the Germans identified East Africa as one of the regions which could be financed for purposes of harmonizing quality assurance within the region. Now, in that process, therefore, there was development of quality assurance handbooks, 4 of them, and I've talked about them there before. And the books are giving us that understanding that we can speak same language within the region when it comes to inter-university, the concept of quality assurance within the region. They contain, as I've written here, common guidelines, procedures, and assessment tools that should be used by universities in guiding them in quality assurance within the region. They are also there to achieve and improve, and they also assure, most importantly, our stakeholders about the quality of higher education within the region. They are in 5 volumes, as it is listed here. The first one is self-assessment at program level. So whenever you are implementing a program and you want to assess the quality of that program, then volume 1 will guide you on that. The second one is the one that guides now the external reviewers. That is the National Council for Higher Educations, the Commission for Higher Educations, when they are trying to accredit a program. and they are guided by Volume 2. Volume 3 contains a self-assessment at institutional level. After every 5 years, like in Kenya, every university is supposed to go through an accreditation process, re-accreditation process. Now, when you are writing a document that will assist you in the re-accreditation process, then Volume 3 will assist you on that. And then Volume 4 provides guidelines for implementation of total quality assurance. And then the last one is principles, practice, and management of quality assurance. These are the documents that I've just been talking about. And I believe each one of us, as we leave this place, you will make sure that you have these books in your library. They are online, you can access them, but they will guide the implementation and also harmonization of quality assurance within the region. The next one is the benchmark. Every university develops and reviews curriculum. Now, in the development of curriculum and also review of curriculum, the Inter-University Council for East Africa, under the mandate that was given by the declaration in 2017, they came up with a number of benchmarks or documents that can harmonize curriculum within the region. There are 20 of them, and they are online. Now, if you look at them, they constitute important building blocks as a reference document when universities are developing and reviewing curriculum. So you can look at these documents whenever you are developing, like now, assuming that I'm in commerce, and I want to develop a program in commerce. I just need to go to the University Council for East Africa, download that benchmark, and to give me the learning outcomes, some of the common units that are supposed to be in that program, so that we can harmonize our programs within the region. I think you can move to the next level. These are some of the benchmarks. They are not exhaustive. I've said there are 20 of them now. You can see the first one, just back. The first one is on education. We have Bachelor of Science in Food Safety, Agriculture, that is what, mechanical, electronics, and the like, medicine, business, my area, and then computing. So many, and they can guide you in that. Move to the next slide. Yeah, this one is about now East African Qualification Framework, a framework that gives us what is expected to be the academic qualifications across the region. The framework assists us in mobility of students within the region. And you will find them there all the way from certificates all the way to postgraduate. That document, in case you want, you can also download it. You can move to the next one. The next document and the next important document that guides us, or a system that guides harmonization of higher education, is the Standards Guidelines for Postgraduate Studies. That's a new document. It will be assisting us as universities when we are using or delivering postgraduate studies. It's a document that can guide you also. Move to the next one. The Standards and Guidelines for ESC Regional Accreditation. I'm aware that, I'm sure that you are aware that nowadays we can as well accredit programs regionally. Currently, the national councils and commissions accredit programs within their countries. But also Inter-University Council for East Africa has come up with this document that can assist us in accreditation, and you can apply, and the process is given all the way to the end. You can apply for accreditation of your programs within the region. The next document is now the norms that are supposed to be put in place whenever we are accrediting. I think it supports what I've just discussed. Because of time, we can move. Assessment 2, this one is used by the external parties when they are accrediting your programs within the region. You can also read through and get to understand the criteria. Move again. Yeah. The East African Quality Assurance Network, this is a network of practitioners on quality assurance, again, recognized under the declaration that was done by our heads of states in 2017. Now, the formation of this network was based on the trainings that were done by IUCA and also DAD within the region. As Mukhtar has said, Dr. I was in the first cohort of those that were trained within the region. That was in 2007. And since then, the Inter-University Council for East Africa has trained up to 6 cohorts of quality assurance practitioners within the region. Is there anybody who has gone through that training in the room? Yeah, can see a number. Yeah, quite a number of us have gone through that. It is a call that is done on annual basis, and I believe IUCA is about to place another one. And when you go through the training, we go through the training to learn how do we do internal quality assurance within universities within the region. And how do we harmonize? Now, for this network, once you are trained, then you can easily join and become a member. It's voluntary. Now, in the membership, what do we do? The network, just go back, the network meets every year. We have since had 14 meetings and forums within the region. We have trained over 2,000 practitioners within the region. And what we do is that in our training, we always have keynote addresses by experts on topical areas in quality assurance. We have conferences where papers are presented. We have panel discussions where we bring on board higher education experts within the region and also the world. We capacity build our people, and I said we have already trained more than 2,000 practitioners within the region, and those practitioners are within our universities implementing the trainings. Then we have also our annual general meeting, and key and very important for us is the high-level delegates, which comes as the last day, because we have 4 days of trainings. And in the high-level delegates, we bring on board CEOs of the national councils and commissions within the region, the vice-chancellors, and any other stakeholders in higher education that have policy, I can move policy within the region. How do we influence? We influence our policies within these discussions, and our resolutions are always presented in the Council of Ministers within the East African community. Again, we are a registered body. We are registered in Uganda, and our headquarters are in the Inter-University Council for East Africa. That's where we operate from. And we are inviting universities within Somalia also to join in this journey. IACAN will be launching training, and we are already in the high levels of setting the chapter for Somali. It's headed by Mukhtar. Dr. Mukhtar is one of us. And he is also representing the Somali chapter within the executive of the IACAN. And I'm urging all the Somali colleagues to make sure that this chapter stands and is running. We are ready to assist you in the training for internal quality assurance. You can do that virtually. We can do it in person. And we are also going to support the newly established Higher Education Commission in the Federal Republic of Somalia in establishing the standards and guidelines and other regulatory frameworks. So we are going to support, of course, through the Inter-University Council for East Africa, in the establishment of the standards and the frameworks that are going to guide internal and also external quality assurance within the region. What is the call for action, therefore? I'm calling us to, number one, as the leaders of higher education within the region, to demonstrate, domesticate the principles and guidelines for quality assurance within our institutions. Let us go and download the documents, kindly customize them to our situation, and we can have them as policy documents. Adopt and also operationalize the quality assurance roadmap. They are there. Utilize the regional benchmarks in curriculum development and review, because in that case, therefore, you will have a situation where a student can easily move from my university to CIMAD University, can move from Dar es Salaam University to Makerere seamlessly without any issue. Move to the next slide. We are calling upon us also to implement the East African Qualification Framework within the region, because it will facilitate recognition of our qualification within the region. We are also calling upon ourselves to institutionalize the standards and guidelines for postgraduate studies. They are quite rich, and when you are training on postgraduate, they will guide you on that. We are also calling upon you to apply for the regional program accreditation by IUCA, because once IUCA accredits your program, then that program has a mark of quality within the region. The next one is we want you to embed the domains and also the norms and indicators of regional program accreditation and support the formation of the Somali chapter of IACAN. Kindly support that, and Minister, we are relying on your support to actualize this particular chapter. Those of us who want to join IACAN, Mukhtar is here. Dr. Mukhtar is here. You can talk to him. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Professor Paul, for that insightful presentation. I hope it's going to form on, it's one of the themes that we are going to have in our roundtable discussion. So our next person to come here is Dr. Abdunur Sheikh Mahamoud, the chairperson of the Somali National Commission for Higher Education. And he will give us a brief detail on the state of Somali higher education. Yeah, Prof, you are welcome.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I can see that it has been a long day, and I acknowledge the challenge of not being able to say anything at night. I'll make it quick, inshallah. The chair told me already that we are behind time, so my time is limited. I want to say, first and foremost, having one accent to all my Somali speakers, Jioni and Jema to all Swahili speakers, good evening to all English speakers, and Masa al Khair to Arab speakers. As the President said today, we are multilingual, multi-regional, global, and the more languages we learn, the better Somalia will be. So let's not discourage the learning of languages. Learning is very important, and Swahili is a regional language, and many Somalis live in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, the whole region. We are part of that community, and learning Swahili is just as important as learning Italian, French, German, and so forth. My name is Abdunur Mohammed, and I am pleased to be here with you tonight. I was given the responsibility of speaking for 10 minutes to talk about the higher education landscape in Somalia. That is easier said than done, and some of us have a challenge of saying Assalamu alaikum in 10 minutes, let alone presenting it in 10 minutes. I think the state of higher education in Somalia is something for all of us to be proud of. Somalia, before the war, had a very strong higher education system. Centralized Somali National University with over 15 faculties, including the Faculty of Education, Faculty of Law, Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Engineering of all types. But it was all concentrated in the capital city, as many African governments do, where power is consolidated, economy is consolidated, education is consolidated, and the rest of the country is depleted of its brain power. And that situation changed after the Civil War, when the country began to dismember itself, and educators and parents and communities started to reestablish elementary and higher education system in the country, thanks to all of them. For the past 30 years, it was educators, businessmen, business community, parents who took the responsibility of elementary, secondary, higher education throughout Somalia. And the one university that was very common before the civil war, now we have over 130 universities throughout the country. 100, and I've heard that some neighboring countries have 30 universities, 25 universities, 60 universities. Somalia has 130 universities, and we are all proud of them. These universities are educating kids. They are helping students learn and become qualified. Of course, the capacity is different. The capacity of all these universities are different. The Higher Education Commission views these universities as a very critical member of the education community. We want to support all universities in Somalia to become highly qualified in what they do, have the capacity to be able to become full established university, integrated within Somalia, harmonized within East Africa, and we want to make sure that all of them are given the support that they need to be able to have that kind of a standard. Of course, there is the expectation that people are saying the Commission will close doors of some universities. No, we are not in the business of closing doors. We are in the business of opening doors, and we want to keep those doors that are open, strong, and functioning. The President talked about today 15 able educators who are part of this commission. We are new in our infancy. The team has visited Uganda, met with a lot of our colleagues here. We've exchanged ideas, and we are functioning now as we speak. Our new office has been established in some part of the city, and the Commission has been working hard for the past few months. The aim of the mission of the Commission is to enhance higher education. Our aim is to enhance higher education throughout the country, to establish open access to education. Somalis, whether they live in rural areas, cities, they need to have access to a quality higher education. We need to establish equal educational opportunity for all Somali children. This is a huge challenge for us to be able to meet that. We also need to raise academic standards in line and in alignment with East African community, but also globally. As a Minister of Education many years ago, I was able to visit some African and Middle Eastern countries where Somali students were studying, and the academic levels of different students varied from high school level education to middle school level education to college level education to advanced college level of education. And the question I was asked was, what is this variation of the different levels of these students? And my answer at the time was, we don't have a unified curriculum in Somalia. We are working towards a unified curriculum. Today, I want to report to you that Somalia has a unified curricula in high schools throughout the country, unified assessment, and unified certification. So students who graduate from our high schools have the same quality education, same standard level of education, and if they come to Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and so on and so forth, you can expect that they are all coming from the same system. And we also have a computerized system of reviewing the quality of the schools that they have graduated from, the certifications that they have, and the Minister of Education provides them the accreditation that they need to be able to look for higher education. So Somalia has come through a long way, and I'm really proud to say that we are now committed to competing and collaborating with our sister universities throughout the Eastern African community. Of course, when we talk about higher education, we have multiple systems that are functioning alongside each other. We call them universities, we call them colleges, we call them TVET, technical vocational education centers. We call them adult education programs. We call them higher institutes. These are all part of the higher education mandate, to be able to standardize them, to be able to differentiate between what a university is, what a college is, what a higher education institute is, who qualifies to be a TVET Center for Education, and the standards that come along with it. So the aim of the Commission is a long-standing one, which is developing higher education through harmonized curricula within the country and within the region. Harmonized curricula, harmonized examinations. There was a story that some neighboring country in the region had a 94% failure rate in their exams. And I was surprised to hear 2 years in a row, a neighboring country had a 94% high school failures of students who could not pass the test. And I would say that that's a policy failure, not a student failure. And we are not looking for student failures in Somalia. We're looking for 100% success of all students. For the university professor is responsible for all the students in the classroom. And his success or her success depends on how many students have met the standards and how many students have graduated from the university. But the days of saying that professor is tough, nobody passes his test, will not be appreciated. But we also need students who are graduating because they have met the standard, not because they all passed. The other one is accreditation. We need to have accredited system of universities and higher education programs by a system that is connected and aligned with the region as well as internationally. We also have a challenge of students transferring from one university to another. Somali students need to be able to move around the country, around the city, and their degrees, their transcripts should transfer from one college to another. In many parts of the world, even homeschool students are allowed to transfer from homeschool to a regular school. And if a student comes from University A and has a transcript, and if the curriculum is aligned and the standards are aligned, then there's no need for the university to worry about this student transferring as a 2-year college student to your university. So we want to make sure that there's a seamless transfer from universities for students. We are working on national higher education policy and a strategic plan as we speak, and we're hopeful that we will have something working soon. We're working on standards for establishing guidelines and evaluation of higher education certificates, teacher appraisal standards, institutional standards, faculty standards, student registration standards, academic standards, scholarship, research, fellowship, and postgraduate standards, as well as certification standards. These are all things that are necessary to be in place for higher education to work seamlessly within Somalia. I think the work that we face in Somalia is huge, but it is one that we are able to achieve. But what we need to do is to learn from our friends in East Africa, to learn from Professor Nzioki on the standards and processes and guidelines that they have already developed. And we are working to review on some of those policies, but we need to be part of this team. But I would like to stress to my Somali friends sitting here today is we need to ask the question to each one of us. Do we really value education? Why are we standardizing our education system? Why are we harmonizing our education system? Why are we improving the trainings of teachers? And why are we producing these kids? Do we really value the products that will come out of this education? And if so, are we hiring them? Is our hiring process on a merit basis? Do we hire the top 10 students from Simad University or from Jamhuriya University or from Muqdisho University to work in Hormuz or in Dahabshil do we do that? And if we don't, why are we pressuring ourselves to these higher standards? So I challenge all of you. If you don't want the pilot who will be flying the plane that you'll be flying to neighboring countries to be someone who is least qualified, or if you don't want the doctor who will be doing the surgery for your child to be the least qualified, then appreciate qualification, appreciate education, value education. That's the only way that this society can become a highly qualified system of learning. And I say that because in Somalia, before the civil war, we appreciated education. We knew who was the top student from Galkayo. We knew who was the top student from Hiran. We knew who was the top student in Muqdisho. And when they all come to the university, people appreciated who these people were because they were high achievers that the whole country knew. The same thing also is true with Egypt. I was in America and I met with the top student from Egypt, and every Egyptian says, you know so-and-so? Yes, he was the top student in our university when he graduated. It shows the value that these people have on education. When I grew up, I knew who was the top student in our class, who was the top student in our neighboring school. And people know each other until they graduate, and then they say, I knew that guy to be a good student. So I want to encourage my educators who are sitting here, who do not deserve to be lectured by me, that we need to work on our communities to value education. There's no need to have universities and institutes when the society does not value education. Our parents are paying money to send their kids to schools. Of course they value education, but what kind of education are they getting? And are they getting the kind of employment that is necessary? Part of the work that we're doing with East African community is from childbirth to employment. We're working with the students. And not only employment in Somalia, a Somali student who graduated from Simad and from Jamhuriya and from Muqdisho and from Hiran should be able to go to Tanzania, should be able to go to Uganda, should be able to go to other countries and work and be qualified to be able to hold that job. So we have a challenge ahead of us. The President and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education and the Deputy Minister, they have all spoken about how do we ensure that Somalis are equipped with the right knowledge and right skills. We will work hard to do that, but I want them to also work on the society that will accept them, the society that will employ them, the government that employs them, so that at least schools and governments and businesses can work hand in hand to improve life in Somalia. With that, I want to thank you very much, and I want to welcome all my friends from the East African community. Somalia is open for business. We are serious about joining you and collaborating with you, and I'm hopeful that we learn from you as well as you will learn from us in the future. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Professor Abdur, thank you very much for that insightful keynote speech. Now, I'm going to invite who is going to present to us challenges and opportunities in developing a counseling psychology degree program in Somali higher education.
Okay. Okay, I think you can all hear that everyone is tired, and I can fill the room, and Dr. Abdinoor promised that he will be 10 minutes, and of course his speech will be days and months and everything. So, first and foremost, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Habeen wanaagsan. Qabaariyako. Okay, I'm trying, right? But I cannot reach Dr. Abdinoor what he said. So, it is an honor to be here tonight. And my goodness, my gratitude goes to those of you who put together this amazing conference. I cannot imagine the energy, the effort, the time it needs to put it together such a conference. Also, I would like to welcome those of you who travel from far to be part of this conference. Welcome to Muqdisho, welcome to Somalia. Please enjoy your stay here. Don't be in the gated area of Muqdisho, just to be in Halane between Jazeera. You are not still in Muqdisho. So try to go to Liro and different parts of Muqdisho and be safe. So don't think about something will happen if you go outside of the gated neighborhood. You can still, some of the cities, especially if we talk about the West, like Columbus, Ohio, might have more crimes than Muqdisho. So it is all about the mentality that we come in. So, just to be brief, tonight I have more questions than answers. I would like to know how many of you are psychologists in the room or counselors? I want to see psychologists, counselors. Let me see on the back. Okay, what's happening? No one is psychologist? No one is counselor? Clinical mental health counselor. You can be Islamic psychologist as long as you have the competency needed to do assessment, diagnosis, treatment. And I'm not looking for psychiatric, more on the medical model. Okay, how many doctors do we have in the room? Medical doctors. Public health. What's happening? Are we tired? Public administration? Wait a second. Political science? Engineers? Okay. Well, let me tell you, my experience in Somalia, the universities in Somalia produces more medical doctors and other fields than psychologists. You will be surprised if I tell you we do not have, as much as I know, through my observation, through my clinical capacity in Somalia, counseling psychology, students who graduate counseling psychology. Guess what? We do have now the first psychology program established with Simad University. And you can imagine the challenges right there. There is no infrastructure that supports. It's a trial and error, such kind of program. And what it takes to have students who graduate and become therapists. How many years we have a violence conflict in this country? Should I say how many decades? How about the unemployment? How about the drug abuse? So how do we address the hearts and the minds of our people without having people who are trained in the field of counseling? Or are we saying as Somalis, we don't need psychologists? Are we saying those who are suffering mental health are supposed to be in elite places, right? They should be jailed, or they should be given sleep medications. And that is only the 15% who might be suffering on the psychosis episode. Mental health is not about having a bipolar. It's not about having a severe psychosis. It is about having not being able to function on your day-to-day operation. Just having a minor depression, anxiety, not being able to do what you're supposed to do. That is right there. It's mental health needs. Guess what? The study of world mental health in 2010, they say 1 out of 3 Somali people are suffering mental health issues. You can read it. And maybe we can make an argument on that and say, where do you get this data? Our people are doing well, right? But that's the reality. And we're talking about 2010. So the hearts and the minds of Somali people really need to be addressed, because with the time, I don't want to go to my presentations, but I want to go directly of what we are planning to do with Simat University and other universities such as University of Hargeisa and Jigjiga University. We are planning to establish a counseling psychology program. Of course, that is why it will be very important to know what exists in East Africa and the accreditation process, because we don't want to copy and paste the Western model of mental health manual, the DSM. As someone who have been trained in the West, I don't feel comfortable coming here and doing diagnosis and labeling someone who is Somali, who is Muslim, and say, hey, you have that problem. That doesn't mean the person does not have the problem, but the problem and the diagnosis that's listed on the Western model of DSM might not be reflected or might not be same as what the person is experiencing. So our plan is to develop culturally appropriate, context-specific model of DSM. We want to establish African-centered mental health approach to address the African problem and the Somalis problem. And thank you so much for all of you.
Still, we have some other presentations, but we are going to open the roundtable discussion so that people don't feel bored. We will come back to those in presentations. So our roundtable discussion is going to, you see, we don't have chairs here and panelists here so who are going to be asked questions, but instead we are going to open the floor for all participants who are here, and we have questions here. So we are going to get the views of the participants on the roundtable discussion questions. So these Yeah. So, we are going to have a roundtable discussion that is open to all of us. But briefly, if there are some questions that are going to the participants or presenters who have been here, if you can ask them some three to four questions that are towards the presenters who have presented, we are going to welcome them. I can see there is a hand up there. Another one is up there. So we are going to start with Professor Jamil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reta. As introduced, Dr. Siroga Jamil, the Vice Rector in charge of Affairs, Islamic University in London. I want to thank the presenters. I have a small question to Professor Abdul about the efforts being made by Somalia High Commission for Higher Education about the competence-based education. Because what we are seeing, what we are hearing around the East African community, especially when it comes to higher education in the urban area, this is becoming one of the major issues. And as we have more universities, how are we moving forward to cope up with the demands in competence-based education? Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Ahmed Mahmoud, strategic communication expert. I appreciate this forum brought together academics, civil, and also academics and also other professional diverse. I'll go straight to the point. One is comment, and the other one is two questions for my colleague here, and the other one for Dr. Abdinur. And since we are discussing, okay, fine. And since we are discussing quality of higher education, the question that was in my mind is, are we able to achieve quality education in higher education if we are not going to put our efforts in giving chance to lower primary and upper primary enhancement? We are talking about East Africa. For us to achieve the value of education in East Africa, I'm not talking about Somalia, I'm talking about the region. So what is the correlation? Are we going to focus more on universities, colleges, instead of putting the, a remedy into the root cause? We understand Somalia is a growing baby. So for us, for the Somali community and for the Somali people to add value and to get enhancement, what we need to address is, initial point is we need to look at the primary level, lower level, so that now is given an input. And also, if that is allowed, what is the time frame? What time frame will it take? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sadia. Sadia sitting over there.
Yeah, and Assalamu alaikum. Just it's not a question, but it is kind of like a comment and also actions that we need to take. I'm Dr. Sadia Siad. I'm the Chancellor of Hano Technical University. We focus on technical and STEAM education in Somalia. I'm just following up what my sister said, and Proda, we are third year offering psychology and counseling. I believe we are the first university. However, we faced lack of interest. Very limited students applied. And it is because of a lot of Somali young people, they are not aware other degrees. They are focused on public administrations, medicine, some traditional degrees. So one of the issues that we tried to tackle was career guidance or career fairs. So unless it's not only infrastructure, but it is also awareness. So we need to prepare our students, and we need to explain that there are jobs, and we need to create jobs which actually education should translate into jobs. So before we even think about creating degrees, we have to focus on job creation first. Thank you.
There is one here.
And then I'll come back to him. Yeah, I'll come back to him. He raised first. Yes.
No, okay. We want to every table to get the equal share.
Shall I move to a different table?
Not for the meantime. Continue, please.
Assalamu alaikum damaan. Dr. Nwezi, Dr. Abdinur, and my sister Rauda. You did great presentation, and we appreciate. We learn from you all. I have a question that relates with accreditation and QA in higher education. And my question is directed to Dr. Nwezi and Dr. Abdinur. Obviously, conducting a QA in higher education within the East African community requires a comprehensive approach that addresses regional and national key. It requires legal and framework that adheres to or defines what the QA is. You had 2 decades ahead of us. We are just joining. How do you harmonize when you already set your mind what to do with the newcomers? That's one thing. The second thing is, by the way, the question is both of you. The second thing is accreditation. Is it has to be first regional accreditation and then the community, or you have the community and the region will have to, and Somalia will have to catch up with that? The question particularly I want to ask Dr. Abdinur is that you said that we don't want to close universities. I'm glad that you're not. But I'm hoping the nation will close them. Because you have a standard, you give them a time. If they don't catch up in a reasonable time, then you are doing a disservice for the students if you don't close them. You might not close them, but you don't give them accreditation, so students will flee. What will you say about that? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Professor. Yeah, we'll come to you later.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay, thanks. My name is Germain Goy, coming from DRC. I want to start by greeting the organizing committee for extending the invitation to my university. And quickly, I would like to ask the first question to the chair in charge of the Inter-University Council of Somalia. When you presented your speech, you said that in Somalia there are 130 universities. The first small question, among this number, how many are private and how many are public? The second question, insofar as the question of assurance quality is concerned, please let me know if, according to your experience, the issue of quality assurance is safely led within the private university. Are you so sure that there, in the private universities, the quality assurance is safely kept into account? Because normally, as far as I am concerned, in the case of some African countries, the private universities are there mainly for their business and not for the quality of education. Second question to Madam Roda Abdullah Walad. It is very interesting to speak about introducing psychology and psychological studies in Somalia, but it seems that when we are speaking about many African countries within which there are conflicts, there is, thanks to United Nations, there is a policy called the
reconstruction, diplomacy and policy. But do you say that up to now there are no public services in order to tackle the issues of traumas and so on after the conflict in Somalia? Well, I beg pardon, I am a French-speaking people, maybe my question isn't so clear. Thank you.
We are going to have another round of questions after the other presentations, but now we give the mic to the presenters. So many questions for Dr. Abdul.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
I think I need more than the floor. My notes will help. Those were very good questions. Let me try to answer some of them. The gentleman who asked about competency-based education, CBE, as is known, is evaluating students on the mastery of the subjects that they study versus allowing students to pass through the system year after year by just being present. I think with the standards that we have in Somalia and the standards that are coming up requiring universities to establish, I think passing the subject or passing the level would require mastery of the subject. Thank you. So of course that's where we're headed. That's why you establish strong standards, and standards start with elementary standards, primary standards, secondary school standards, and college standards. But the question is, what do students know and be able to do is the definition of a standard. What do students know and be able to do? So if you are taking a math class, Algebra 1 in college, then the university and the faculty and everybody should know what Algebra 1 consists and what are the standards for a student to show mastery of Algebra 1 or science or geography or history or what have you. And if students make a mastery on that subject, then the student passes the test. If they don't master, then they fail. But the point I was trying to make earlier was that the teacher who's teaching the classroom is fully responsible for making sure that every student in the classroom reaches mastery of the content that they taught. Whether they are a special student, whether they are gifted, whether they are a regular student, you are responsible for everyone making mastery. And the example that I was talking about where a neighboring country had 94% failure rate, when I said it's unacceptable, is I think that not only the teacher failed and the university failed or the high school system failed, but the educational policy failed, because that's not the aim of education, to fail students and parents. I hope I touched some of that. But the point that I'm trying to raise is we are headed towards that. And if you're not competent, then you shouldn't be. We are looking towards students who have the skills and abilities that they are able to take from the classroom to the workforce. And if you don't have those abilities, as the pilot I was talking about, then you shouldn't be sitting in the plane just because your uncle owns it or your friend has hired you. The question about primary schools. Yeah, that's a question that's often asked. The Commission is tasked for higher education system. But higher education depends on the work that elementary and primary education system has produced. Somalia has a 12-year 4-4-4 system of education, 4 primary, 4 middle school, 4 high school. And then we have college, where students can finish in 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, depending on the program that they are studying. Historically, we had gateways of education. There is something called third grade guarantee. If a student is not able to read and write at the third grade level by the 3rd year in elementary school, research shows that they will not be successful in completing high school. So that's the first gateway, is the Ministry of Education or the school systems, are they looking at 4th grade or 3rd grade as a gateway to say, is this student ready to go from elementary to middle school? And same way as 8th grade, and same way as high school. These are gateways. So students who graduate from the 12th grade, high school, should be ready for college. A lot of people make issue about the foundational year that the Ministry of Education has established. If you look at it, the foundational year is another year of opportunity to learn language, learn other subjects, stay in school. And when you compare Somali students, the number of years that they go to school to Kenya, it takes 13 years to get to college in Kenya. Correct? It takes 12 years to get to college in Somalia. So adding one more year in college or adding one more year in high school, depending what the policy of the government is, it just produces the same results. Right? So students will have more time to either prepare for college while in high school or have what we call in America, students that don't have the skills for college, they are given foundational year in the school. It's called developmental education, where they take extra content, high school, college type, to prepare them for college. I hope I've answered your question. If not, we'll come back to it. Brother Ibrahim asked, why not close schools? We want to set the tone of excellence. We want to set the tone of collaboration. We want to set the tone that everybody can do. We are not trying to fail schools. We're trying to make them successful. So if we work with them, and they work with us, and they meet the targets, then they're fine. If they don't meet the targets after working with them, we will give them warnings. We will tell the parents that the school that you are sending to your student is a C level of school. You better send your kids to an A level school, or a B level school, or an I level school. And then people will determine and say, okay, that school is an A level. Maybe I need to pay them the money that I need to send my child to a school. But if they're all equal, and as I mentioned, some of them are called college, some of them are called university, some are called higher institute, some of them are called TVET, but we don't have standards that differentiate them of who and where everyone is. But once we get there,